Here we have two Ferrograph Studio 8 reel-to-reel tape recorders. These are not genuine Ferrographs, they're made by a company called Wayne Kerr. It's not the first time Ferrograph has put their name to another machine. There's also one known as the Ferrograph Series 77, which is a Revox B77 rebadged. These machines come in two different main styles. We've got the portable version, or transportable, and we've got the pedestal version. Now this should be in a large stand, but unfortunately the stand has gone missing and we've got these wooden sides put on instead. These machines are quite quirky in their operation. For example, we have a counter roller here which has three light sensors underneath it, counting the revolutions and directions on which it turns. We have a light sensor just underneath here for the end of tape. We also have light sensor on the reel to tell the machine when the tape is in motion. All of these are fed from one light source. This light source has fiber-optic cables going to each devices, so you have one bulb powering all the light sources except the lights of, say for example, the PU meters and the speed indicators and operation indicators. This light bulb, however, if it should go, would render the machine useless. The capstan would probably run away, it wouldn't know whether or not it was running or not. So it does have a backup bulb system, or a reserve lamp. If the first bulb should blow, the second bulb would kick in, and you'd get a warning on the front telling you that the first bulb had blown. The other unusual thing about this machine is the capstan run. The capstan run is done by a servo-controlled board, of which we've got on the front here some trimming controls. The unusual thing about this servo control is that the electronics, some of them are very temperature sensitive, so they're held in a thing called the oven. The oven is basically a device to keep the components' temperatures regulated. Inside there you have a thermostat. The thermostat, or thermistor I should say, the thermistor keeps a regulated voltage which will go up or down depending on the temperature and feed back to the what's called the highly accurate bistable components inside. Now this machine is quite modular, so we've got a bottom amplifier section, the logic middle section and the transport top section. Sadly these machines have a serious flaw in them, and that is the capacitors. On here we have a load of yellow and silver capacitors, all of which are failing or failed. For example, if you look at the top of that one, we can see like a furry mess on the top. It's not to say that all these capacitors have failed. In fact, I think these boards actually sound okay. But they do fail. And so rather than wait for them to fail and cause other issues, for example, in this machine they'd blown a couple of diodes and transistors, rather than waiting for them to fail, I've completely recapped both these machines. We have here also a slightly botched up logic circuit. And when I got hold of this machine, somebody had had an issue trying to get these things to work properly. So basically they had added some extra links into the circuitry to bypass certain features of this machine. For example, if you were to press rewind and fast forward on this machine, noisy bearing, if you were to press rewind and fast forward and you were to press stop, the brakes would turn on, which is fine. But if you press fast forward and then play, the way that it was wired, it just goes straight into play and snap the tape, which that's now been repaired. This board here hasn't been repaired yet, although this one is one that does work. So when I get around to it, all these yellow and silver Wilmer components, they'll be replaced as a matter of sort of like course to prevent any kind of other issues occurring. Another interesting feature in this machine is the counter. We have a LED counter system. We can reset it and so forth. Our zero locator isn't like a normal machine. You have to zero locate and then press wind. And so this machine will now go into a wind mode, and once it gets down to 0, it stops. But not very accurately. so it can jump forward up to around about 23 seconds on a full reel. The counter is programmable, which is unusual. I have seen it on other machines, like for example the big digital machines. We can program in a tape counter onto these ones. We can also up and down them from one display to another. But this machine has a unique counter system where we've got a controller here where we can set the counter to whatever we want. Now, according to the manual, this has something in reference to the zero locate. So for example, if you know a tape, a song is 3 minutes 47 seconds long, and then you press zero stop and rewind it, it will stop more or less to the beginning of the recording. Now these machines came in a different variety. Here we have a BBC style front panel, upside down I know, but BBC style panel. This panel is sparse. We've got output levels which can't be changed. We have line in levels which are preset. You can take them off, you can adjust them, but they're preset. So all the engineer can do is he can check the recording input and the line output. And then we have a full-blown version which has microphone inputs, line inputs, and record level for the pair, and also has level outputs. These machines can run only at 2 speeds, but they can be altered inside electronically by changing components on the servo board, the logic board, and the oven to run from 3 3/4 to 7.5 or 7.5 and 15. Both these machines are running at 7.5 and 15, which means you can't play 3 3/4 tapes on them. The logic controls, basically you've got your rewind and fast forward. You've got opposite braking on these machines, so it doesn't put on the brakes, it slows it down then stops. We've got 3 large heads, which are the same as the Logic 7 series and the Series 7 series. Series 7, Super 7 and Logic 7 share more or less the same heads. Whether or not it's the same plinth I don't know, but it's handy as I've got plenty of spare heads for those. Never had one blow yet, but they do wear out quite quick. One of the biggest differences between this Ferrograph and, say for example, a Logic 7, all the machines from Series 1 and 2, so we have a Series 2 Ferrograph down here, these have tape lifters. So does the Series 1 or the D100. But onwards to the Series 3, 4, 5, 6 Logic 7s, Series 7s, none of them have a tape lifting system. These machines do, which I can operate by editing the edit function. We can see it drops the tape. We can also edit whilst the tape is running. This obviously increases the lifespan of the heads. The Logic 7s, because the tape is running on the heads at all times, would dramatically reduce the life cycle of the heads. This was mainly done as an editing feature on the Logic 7s and Series 7s and so on, but generally it's a bad idea. Really, you should be able to just operate these kind of things when you want them. The last thing is that these machines finally stopped using the gooey rubber rollers. The Series 7, Logic 7, Super 7s all had gooey rollers. These ones now have nice firm rollers. So there we have it. That is a Ferrograph Studio 8.